But speaking as a woman, number one, I want to make a very simple example. The reason why I'm here today is because a man invited me, right? The reason why I have in so many events, technically, doing artivism. My name is Spontaneous the Poet. I am a spoken word artist based in Kenya, Polini. I use art for social change, and I'm turning 10 years in the career right now. Thank you, and I'm celebrating it in December, karibuni sana. I felt that was very important to mention because in the past 10 years that I have been in the industry as a career, most of my opportunities I have received, thank you, from men, yeah? I have had to, rather, I and other female creatives that I know of, we have had to deal with kuitwa kichwa ngumu, because what is our work? What are we doing having conversations around governance? But why not, you know? And again, we are very few women who boldly wake up and say, okay, regardless of what you guys are saying, we are still going to have conversations around governance because it is important. I work in Kwale County. In Kwale County, women, of course, leadership generally, madem ni wachache, as we trickle down, right? Right now in Kwale County, the governor is a woman. However, that doesn't change the fact that through your traditions, we are doing a project on women in leadership, and conversations that we have with these women is they have to ask their husbands if they can attend a workshop around politics, leadership, and governance. And I speak for these women because sisi wenye tuko na opportunity ya kukua kwa hii space tuko wachache compared to the percentage that has to deal with cultural traditions. Sindio? Let's dig deeper into inheritance. Who get the inheritance more? The men. What does politics need? Finance. So how it's easier for the men to get involved, you know. So if you look at inheritance in itself, it also affects the financial constraints. Now, speaking as an artist, even, allow me to do a comparative analysis. Who are the organizers of shows? Men. Okay, let me ask it differently. In a percentage, who are the most event organizers? Who are the middlemen? You know? So already, by the time, and it's okay, I'm not bashing men, by the way. You will highly likely think of a fellow man to come and perform in your show before you think about a woman. I'll give an example of a show I attended because kulikuwa na vita online on Twitter when alikuwa nasema the spoken word industry has very many spoken word artists. Mbona hii space imebeba maboy wa 10 and then they happen to tag my name na Spontaneous the Poet ako hapa. It has happened twice, and the conversation is, oh, but then there's need for gender equality. Why are we not thinking of it from the word go? You know? But I don't want to sound like I am complaining. Because also, even as women, it's beautiful that I can see it in the space right now. More women are also coming up and creating events, even with these cultural barriers, right? I want to dig deeper a little bit on safety, so that women are not vocal in the conversations we have. We are very vocal. Let's remember, you have to ask either your uncle, your dad, and you have to deal with your brother, your uncle, your dad, your friends, to be able to even go for a show. To the point where even if I'm going for shows, labda nitapigia mtu ka Java nimuulize, unakam? Actually muita Oeba. Oeba, unakam? Ndo nijue ninarudi home aje. So let's talk safety. Sindio? Let's talk about recently Mashujaa, when the Mashujaa protests were happening. I happened to be one of the most vocal poets in that season. Things you might not know behind the scenes is being asked, what business are you having talking about police brutality in such international and global spaces, who do you think will actually ensure you are safe? You know, there's power in numbers. The fellow men would feel the same thing, but they have numbers, you know. Atajua, boss, hata mimi nilifeel the same way, niko na connect flani hapa nitakusort. If you're luckier, maybe, if you're spontaneous, you'll probably call Java, and Java anajua atapigia DJ Kelv, but we are not numbers haziko as much. So when you're asking why are women not engaging in these conversations, they are, but there are so many hindrances that they have to consider. Let me even go deeper. Now you are a mother, you're a parent, you have a child. You have to sit down and calculate how many things you're going to lose in the process, because conversations around politics, if you're passionate, you always know there's a risk. You might die. If you die, you're not thinking about you dying alone. You're thinking, mtoi wangu atakaa wapi? You're thinking, kuna pesa fulani natengenezanga napelekanga home. You know, like you have to think about so many things, to the point where sometimes you have to say, okay, my dream can wait. You know, let me dig even deeper kidogo. When you're growing up, enzi zetu, ukunaambiwa, dem, weka kitchen, upike. Sindio? The guys, I used to envy the guys, because the guys kazi yao ni kwenda, wanaenda nje, wanabanga hizo, wanachill na mahadol na manini. When I was younger though, you know, allow me bring you kutoka huko chini, so that you see how it affects. I've been in this world for 3 decades now. So imagine growing up knowing you always have to minimize your voice, you have to minimize your attempts, then you have to grow up into being someone who can be vocal. It's a challenge. Not unless you're some of us who decides, mi lazima mnisikie, by the way. You have no way, you have no option, you have to listen, you know. So when we start shifting perspectives, I will mention it again. I am here because of, in this space, and relevant still, because of the men who've had the opportunity and the strength to hold my hand. The women I know have also been relevant in the same line. It's beautiful to see what women are also doing right now. I need to curtail this narrative, because I hear it so many times, that is also making it impossible for us to move forward, that women are not supporters of each other. Where? You know, like that's one of the key things that makes it even difficult for women to engage in politics, because the assumption is already made that you will not be supported. I stand here saying, man, I have an army of 100 female poets in Kenya who are working together, who can put up an event together and make things work. You know, Tazlina kwa hapa, tumejuana 4 years. We're in these spaces together. So I think also recognizing that there are certain ideologies that affect mindsets is something important if you're going to discuss on how we're going to build on the youth manifesto and make it something that works.